What is happening, everybody? My name is Beth and welcome back to Every Day is Spooktober. Now, we have got a real treat of a review today. This film that I watched and I'm about to review literally hits the top list of Halloween favorites to watch during the spooky months, during Halloween, whatever. This film just hit that mark for me, and I'm excited to talk about it because this film's been out for a while. It's created by some pretty well-known filmmakers, but I feel like the film itself doesn't really didn't really get the recognition that it deserved. Like, not a lot of people are talking about this film. I think there's still a lot of people that don't know about this film, because I agree that this film definitely does sort of look on the low budget side. However, it was so much fun and it was really interesting and just a fun Halloween slasher. So let's get into it, guys. We're going to be talking and reviewing Haunt, which came out in 2019. So let's talk about it. So obviously Haunt is about it's a haunted house film. Obviously, not like a haunted house film. It is set at a haunted house, set on Halloween night. Obviously, we have a group of friends, and we have a little bit of backstory of our main character, Harper, who obviously when she was younger, she has some childhood trauma, which kind of plays like a full circle moment. Her boyfriend's quite abusive, and it kind of all sort of embedded itself into the same sort of storyline of how when Harper was younger she was obviously abused and yeah, as a child. But yeah, so there's this group of friends and we learn some stuff about them. I believe China Anne McClain's sister is also in this. She's so gorgeous. At first I was like, wait a minute, am I watching a Disney film? Because they look very similar. Like I said at the beginning of this film, I was very unsure about Haunt. It's weird because I hadn't really heard about it. I'd seen a couple people review it on YouTube and I thought I definitely want to check it out because I do love when I love haunted things. I love haunted houses in general, and I think it's interesting when as a filmmaker it sounds like so much fun to basically create your own haunted house and then obviously have actors actually play these characters and actually portray and film and come up with some kind of story to connect it all. I do enjoy that aspect of it, and I think that if I wanted to make a film myself, 100% I would love to do one like this, and I think that's definitely sort of what connected me to it. This film was made by the creators of A Quiet Place, which obviously is a huge masterpiece in the horror world. Also the 65 film that recently came out. These filmmakers that made Haunt made big films that have done really well over the years. So it was, like I said, it was weird because this film gives off very low budget, not much money, an easy sort of watch. It gave me sort of escape room vibes. Obviously, not the actual escape room, which is really good, which we all know about, but the escape room films that are just really trash because all nothing really happens and they're just sort of sat in a room for the entire movie. Yeah, that's what this one felt like before going into it, and that's sort of what I was expecting, although it was so different than what I thought. I think, like I said, I think the whole aspect of them filmmakers creating this haunted house, they had some really fun, interesting aspects, and obviously playing on the fear of this is a haunted house, so anything you see in here obviously isn't real because this is for entertainment purposes, but everything's really weird. You're on edge, you don't know what's going to happen. Don't get me wrong, I think these films are in general on 10 out of 10 stars, but I think they do have potential and they are a really fun watch. Obviously it's a good slasher, and who doesn't love a good slasher? I mean, I if we didn't have slashers, I don't know what we would do, but yeah, I enjoyed it from the slasher aspect. I enjoyed it from the sort of escapism and fight or flight, and I just enjoyed it for that aspect of these characters obviously going through all these rooms and seeing what the filmmakers created in this haunted house, and that effects and the costumes and the decor and everything about it. So yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of this. I know it's a little bit like Hell House, where Hell House is obviously a real haunted house in the actual film, so it was giving me very much sort of like similar sort of ideas as to sort of what that film carries. You know, in terms of, like I said, in terms of the characters, I think all the actors were fine. I was like a bit concerned at the beginning because I was like, this is going to be one of those where like the acting's really cringy because like I don't know, like once again it was giving low budget, so I was like, oh, the actors aren't going to be very good, and then you know they're going to like overact or they're going to underact or it's just going to be really stupid. But you know, I think as soon as sort of everything starts kicking off and then some of the friends start dying within the group of this house, I think like, you know, it gets intense, it's interesting, it's engaging. You don't want to stop looking at the screen, which is always a good and a plus for slasher films. And I think as well, like the whole thing of like all the actors in the house, obviously they're all wearing masks because they're scare actors, but I think the fact that when they all take their masks off and they're like really, they all look really weird, like their faces are like deformed and they're like tattered everywhere, like they've got really weird creepy faces underneath the masks, and I really like that. It seemed like the sort of owners in the group that run this sort of haunted house, it was very culty. Obviously there were like a group of them, and they were obviously doing this to scam people, take their money, take their phones, like kill people. And I, you know, I guess it's just something they enjoy doing. Obviously we didn't get a ton of context as to who these people were running the house. I wouldn't be mad if they made a Haunt 2 and they like focused more on the actual people, because obviously at the end it sort of ends on a big cliffhanger where these like scare actors come, you know, after a couple of them escape, they come back, try and get one back on them. They have the forms and their addresses, and they obviously go back to try and find these people that escaped, because obviously they don't want someone to rat on them. But yeah, I think the whole thing of like Harper and Nathan escaping, obviously it was very obvious at the start, because they obviously started to sort of have this relationship and it started to come together a little bit throughout the film. It was obvious that those two definitely were going to survive. They were our sort of main characters in the situation, our main survivors. But yeah, I think it was quite fun of a way to end the film, of like obviously those two escape and they survive, and obviously before they went into the house they have to sign waivers and they have their addresses, they have their information. So one of the guys at the haunt, with the clown mask, goes to find these guys to go and actually track them down and kill them. You do a full like 180, switch it up, and Harper ends up setting up her house to kill these guys, or the guy, which I think is really good. It's sort of like that moment of like, I'm ready for you, like I knew this was gonna happen, I knew this was coming. And like I just love how we have like a moment for the main character in this where like, yeah, she's got her head screwed on, she's thinking right, and like she's one step ahead of you, buddy, so like F you. So like I think it's a really strong ending, and I like the way that we do end it off, because all in all you do sort of expect these guys to go and find them again and actually kill them. But I think it's nice how we can kind of just put the whole thing to bed, and Harper can obviously just thrive and live, and try and live a normal and better life after that, which I mean probably wouldn't happen because that'd be very like traumatic. But yeah, I do like the ending. Like I was saying too, I think we've got some great sort of slashers moments and kills in this. Some of them are very brutal, but I think that you sort of need them to be brutal. I do think they could have possibly turned it up a notch a little bit, like in terms of the gore. You know, I think it wasn't as crazy as I thought it was going to be, and I think maybe if it was a bit more toned up, I think I definitely would have rated this a bit higher, because it don't get me wrong, there obviously was some crazy moments, but I think that it was toned down. And it's quite interesting because this is rated at 18, and I thought that, I was like, oh, it's definitely an 18 because it's about to be crazy, like the visuals and what we're going to see and the deaths. But it wasn't as bad as yeah, I guess maybe I anticipated it a bit too much. But normally when a horror film or a slasher film's an 18, it's going to be a lot better, because obviously they allow those sort of intense visuals, sound, whatever it may be, to obviously just intensify the film even more. So I think I had, like I said, I think I went into it with high expectations, but then also being a bit on the fence about whether this is low budget or if it's a really good low budget. Obviously, like I said, it was made by like very well-known creators, and I think they did a really good job. And like I said to you, I wouldn't mind if they did a second. I would be really excited for it. I feel like it's also very good on its own. It's a good standalone, that's for sure. But yeah, I like this one. It's too bad I didn't discover this in October because I would have lost my shit. 100% going to be adding this film to my DVD collection because it's definitely going to be on the list for when Spooktober comes around. And yeah, to watch some good horror films, it just puts you in the mood. Obviously at the beginning we have, you know, all the friends are in college and they're all dressed up on Halloween night. Like it's just one of those films where it gets you in the mood, especially when the leaves start falling off the trees and it starts like becoming autumn again. So yeah, I really did like Haunt. It wasn't an amazing film, but it definitely engaged me, surprised me, made me cringe, made me laugh. Like it was a roller coaster of a film, and I quite enjoyed it. Like I said, I just want to know more about these the people that are, you know, created the haunted house. I want to know more about the people who had the masks on and had the weird faces. Like, who are these people? And then why did they recruit that like one guy who had like a normal face? I still have questions. And you know, if we don't get a second one, it is what it is. If we do get a second one, this will be highly anticipated. So yeah, thank you guys for watching my review of Haunt from 2019. Did you guys enjoy it? What are your ratings? I think I'm gonna go for a nice 5.5 out of 10 for Haunt. Yes, I know I've said a lot of positive and I've hyped the film up a lot. Although there were so many good things about it, I wouldn't say there was loads of bad things. I just don't think everything could have been definitely raised a level, and like, you know, it wasn't an amazing film. It was just fun, and I love a good fun film. You know, it's just how it is, and it's easy to watch, and it's a good Halloween flick. So yeah, obviously that's just sort of what I thought of it. Let me know again, what did you guys think of this? Do you think 5.5 is harsh? Do you think it's too high? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you on my next review.